I keep making history. Maybe I should just change my name to History. Thank you all for laughing at that. Andre earlier said everything we say gets scrutinized, and everybody also always loses their sense of humor every time we make a joke. And I am mortified of Andre Carson's joke about Alex and how that's going to show up on Fox News. And so everybody who will be praying their Maghrib, please pray extra hard because we do want our sister Alexandria to come back. Okay. All right, all jokes aside, this is truly a historic night. It is wonderful to be here as one of the first three Muslims to serve together in one of the greatest, most powerful bodies in the world, to get this opportunity to convene with you all, to celebrate and to share a tradition of Ramadan that is about truly advancing one another's progress. For us, Ramadan isn't just about withholding yourself from food or water, but it's about developing a deeper understanding of the kind of struggles others go through when they are without. It's about connecting beyond a conversation. It's about having deeper empathy. And as many of us who have had the opportunity to grow up in Muslim majority spaces know, Ramadan is the time of year where everything shuts down, where you get the opportunity to sort of indulge in foods that you never really had, but to be conscious of the fact that you need to share that food, and to make sure that your prosperity doesn't only stay with you, that prosperity is shared with everyone. And that really is, I think, what this country is about. That we don't only work to get prosperity for ourselves, but we work to advance prosperity for every single person. We don't just fight so that we have an equal seat at the table, but we fight for every single person to have an equal seat at the table. You don't just fight for your civil liberties or your civil rights or your own equality, but you fight for everyone else's. And the word neighbor truly means to be a neighbor. As Muslims, we are required not to go to sleep at night with a full belly unless you are sure that your neighbor is going to bed with a full belly. And so that requirement as Muslims is one that I take to heart as I work to further equality and prosperity for all of us. I love this country, I think, more than anyone else could probably love this country. It's given me a second chance, a second opportunity at a life that my family probably gave up on for those 4 years we lived in that refugee camp. My dad could not have fathomed that he would one day bring his 12-year-old to this country, mortified of what laid ahead. The possibility of struggling through school, raising his only youngest daughter by himself. Does anybody in this room understands it is not easy to raise a teenage daughter? And I was not easy to raise. Worried what happened when my older siblings left, how he was going to assure that not only did I get an education, but that I was able to sustain I was able to sustain my identity, my culture, my proudness. I don't think that all of the things he worried about, all of the things he'd hoped for, that he would ever imagine that 23 years later he would arrive back at, um, at an airport here in DC to see his daughter get sworn in into Congress. That only happens in this country. And I remember right after I'd won my primary, I was talking to Leader Pelosi at the time, Speaker Pelosi now, and she said, "What's the one thing that you are worried about? I don't think you have a challenge in the general." And I said, "Well, there's this little problem. I know in this country we have religious liberty. Not everyone understands that. Ignorance is very pervasive in this country. I am worried that when I show up in November as the victor of that election, that they will do everything to make sure that I will not be able to wear my headscarf to represent my constituents." And she said, "Oh, that is the one thing you should never worry about. Because in here you're going to have soldiers who are going to fight that you have your right to serve your constituents and the people of this country." And so I know that every single time as Muslims we feel threatened, we are worried about our civil liberties being taken away, that people show up and help make sure that we feel reaffirmed that in this country we are as equal as everyone else, that our religious liberties are extended to us. And I know that all of you in this room are committed to that. And I'm really excited to be in community with you, to not only fight for you, but to make sure that we are fighting for your future children and their children in creating the kind of America that we all deserve. Now, I will end with one last joke. I remember watching Mr. Khan give his speech, and I remember the occupant of the White House mocking his wife and saying, "I don't know if Muslim women are allowed to speak." Little do they know they were going to get the two loudest Muslim women in the country in Congress with the biggest mic. So as you enjoy your dates and your iftar, please rejoice in knowing that they are mortified of the fact that they had awakened these Muslim women to fight for their space here in Congress. Thank you.